Hello and welcome back to English class. In today's video, we're going to be looking at how to write a report in Cambridge Advanced Part 2. So, your report should be between 220 to 260 words. The report should describe a past situation and focus on the problem and present predictions or providing solutions on how to solve the problem. The recipient, so the person receiving the report, could be an imaginary boss, it could be a professional group, administration, co-workers or peers who want specific information and they don't have much time to sit down and read your report. So you have to be very concise with how you write it. And you can do so by using invented statistics. So the target of the report essentially is to summarize information, to what extent a particular aim has been achieved, and to create a recommendation. You should look to use an impersonal, formal style, and you should then really avoid using phrasal verbs or contractions. So you are instead of your. It's recommended that you use bullet points to kind of structure your suggestions or any of your statistics that you're going to be presenting. And it's very important that we use headings in our report so the reader of our report knows where to look. So without further ado, let's look at a structure that we could use in our reports. First, we want to start with a title. Now the title could be something like Report on, and then you write the topic of what you're reporting on. In paragraph 1, this is where we're going to have an introduction. You can write the heading introduction if you want to, although it's not obligatory. So this is where we're going to state the purpose of the report. So we could start by saying something like, the purpose of this report is to examine, evaluate, outline, describe, depending on what the task has asked us to do, and reword what is needed to do in your own words. For example, if you were asked to evaluate the success of something, you wouldn't use the word success. So after we've written that sentence, we could also include and to make recommendations for possible improvements, and that's our introduction. The second paragraph, our first body paragraph, because in the body we want to have each paragraph discussing a different aspect of the situation. So the first body paragraph could be general description, with the heading general description. This is where we're going to describe the situation. So we could start by saying something like then the situation or the event or program offers or offered, etc., etc. So this is where you give a brief description of the situation. Now the second body paragraph, this is going to be where we evaluate the situation. So here we're going to look to include some statistics. We could write here now the heading evaluation. We could start this paragraph by saying something like, according to a survey conducted among, and then if it were college students or colleagues at work or users of, depending on the task, 70% or the majority consider, and then you say what the statistics have shown. Okay, I said 70% because that's just an example. You could say 60, 80, 90, whatever. But then you could also say the majority consider. The next sentence in the same paragraph could be overall, comma, then the situation was very helpful or valuable or even informative. However, one or two problems were raised. Now you could state the problems in this paragraph because our final paragraph now, paragraph 4, is going to be recommendations. This is the conclusion where we're going to sum up the points made in the report and make recommendations and provide solutions. So in the final paragraph we could write something like, in conclusion, comma, it might be worthwhile considering, and then for your next solution you could even write, with regard to, I don't know, transport, it would be advisable to. Okay guys, it's as simple as that. That's a very clear and concise structure for you to write your report. So let's look at an example task that we could tackle. The example task here is to write a report on an event in your area which might appeal to foreigners visiting your town. Describe the event and evaluate how successful it is in attracting tourists. Present some ways in which its appeal to visitors could be increased. So we've seen what parts of the example task have been underlined. So these are the points we need to talk about in our report. It's very important to underline the content points, because if we don't, our marks are going to be lowered because we've not included the content points. The event I've chosen is going to be a farmers market in my area. So the title could be Report on Local Farmers Market. And as you can see here, I've started my introduction. The purpose of this report is to examine the local farmers market, to describe and evaluate it, and to make recommendations for possible improvements. So that's the introduction. You can add another little bit of information if you like to follow on to the first body paragraph. Here, as you can see, this is the general description. The event, because it's an event, offers market goers to purchase produce from local farmers as well as, and then I will go on to talk a bit more about what the farmers market is. My second body paragraph, the third paragraph, is now the evaluation. Here we're going to introduce some statistics and also maybe identify some problems that came about. Here I've started with, according to a survey conducted among market goers, 75% consider the market to be extremely successful for the economy of the village. Overall, the market was very helpful in allowing visitors to sample the goods before deciding to make the purchase. However, one or two problems were raised, and maybe I would write another sentence to identify the problems before going to the conclusion. Now, my final paragraph with the heading recommendation, and remember before the recommendations was the heading evaluation. So now we could start by saying something like, in conclusion, it might be worthwhile considering reducing the expense of parking on market days. And maybe I could include another little point of view or something a bit more. Then I could say, with regard to, now this is the other problem that needs a solution, to the weather, it would be advisable to, and then I would state my solution to the problem. So it's as simple as that, guys. I hope this has been very useful for organising and structuring your report in part 2 of the advanced writing. If you have any questions, leave a comment in the comment section below. If you like the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. English class, it is a goodbye for now and see you in the next one.